doing? Okay, so now we're live on YouTube. I will explain a few things about Talk and Talk before we start. So, as you know, we are a conversation platform where you can come here and talk. And today we're speaking in English about toxic families. So, let's start with the first question. Can you describe the impact of toxic family dynamics on an individual's well-being? I know it's a hard question, but you can say like, what you think about it, not what you're sure, okay? Today we're here just to talk about what we think. O que a gente acha, não o que a gente sabe, né? É isso que eu faço o dia inteiro aqui. So, Márcio, let's start with you. Can you describe the impact of toxic family dynamics on an individual's well-being?
I believe that the impact is negative, and they affect the children. I think in the first stage, because I believe that the children is like a sponge. Yeah, it can absorb what happening around it.
That's true. And if they grow up in a bad environment, they will absorb that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I agree with you. And you, Jonas, what do you think? Can you describe the impact of toxic family dynamics on an individual's well-being? Jonas, you're muted. Don't worry.
Always. It's really easy to see the negative side. But, it's always a negative. But I will be a little bit of a devil's advocate. But there is one side of the human. We are complex things, and maybe depend on when in your life this behavior will arrive. But sometimes when you have a parent that has addictive problems, maybe the children will see that and never touch anything about alcohol or something like that. You can have some children that grow up in a toxic family and see the problem with that. And when he has his own family, he try to be better. So there's maybe if you are old enough to understand better what is happening, even if you are a children, you have the impact, but you don't pass along.
Mm-hmm. That's true. You learn through experience, right? Even it's bad, you learn, right?
Yes.
It makes sense, right? Makes sense. And you, Beatriz, can you describe the impact of toxic family dynamics on an individual's well-being?
Well, I don't know. It's a really hard question, but I think that when we are children, we have our parents, our family as a reference. So they behavior kind of, I don't know how to say mold them in English, but our perception of what is natural and what isn't it. So when we grow up with a toxic environment, we think that it is the natural. So we tend to get close with people with the same behavior, and it's like I don't know how to say, but a vicious cycle. I don't know how to say in English. And we never understand exactly how is. Okay, let me try give a better argument. It's like what I'm trying to say is that when we grew up with a toxic family, we think that is nature because it's our family, and we have a total dynamic into our houses, and we think that is it the natural. So I think that it's more prejudicial because of it, because we think that it's the natural, you know. I don't know how to say, but it didn't help to me. But I have a friend that grew up like that, and when we do, you know, natural and healthy things, she was like, "Oh my God, how it's happening in your house?" And so I think that's kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I have a big problem talking in English.
No, you don't. You could understand your point. Like they think that situation is a regular situation. It happens everywhere. And it's not like that, right? It happens only in their house and doesn't mean it's the normal, right? I could get your point.
Yes.
That's true. It happens a lot. Children who grow up like with parents that hit them, pai que bate, né, no filho. They think every parent hits their sons, and it's not like that.
Yes.
Life's not like that. They think that what happens to them is what happens to everyone, and it's not. I could get your point. It makes a total sense.
Oh, yeah.
And you, Nathanael, can you describe the impact of toxic family dynamics on an individual's well-being?
I think there are many problems and impact negatives in toxic environment. For example, the personal has low confidence, low confidence, and the personal is very insecure about making mistakes and making activities normal day to day. Another thing common is about the problems with anxiety, inside, stress and depression. It is very dangerous, the toxic environment. That is it.
No, that's true. It can cause a lot of mental issues, like the ones that you mentioned, depression, anxiety. That's true. So they should be really careful how to approach kids with those problems, because every family has problems, right? But they need to be careful in how to approach the kids with that problems, because they need to tell, né? Tem que contar o problema para criança, né? Agora, como que vai lidar com isso? They need to be really careful, the parents. That's true. So let's go to question number 2. How might growing up in a toxic family environment shape a person's beliefs and behaviors? This is very similar to what Beatriz said. How growing up in this environment shape, né, molda as crenças e os comportamentos dessa pessoa que cresceu lá. So let's see what you think. Beatriz, let's start with you. How might growing up in this toxic environment shape the beliefs and the behaviors of a person? Beatriz, are you alive?
Yes, I'm so sorry. It's just my internet connection is failing, and I didn't get everything you said. Can you repeat just the last part, please?
Yes, of course. Is the question, like question number 2. How might growing up in a toxic family environment shape a person's beliefs and behaviors? Como que molda, né, o comportamento e as crenças de uma pessoa que cresce nesse ambiente?
Yeah, yes, I think that it's really hard for people who grew up in this environmental, because as I said before, you start think that the problematic behavior is the natural, is the standard, and low confidence and problems to take over your own life, just like I want to do this, but then instead of think about me, I think about my parents or the people that was responsible for me. And I'm not saying like thinking, oh my God, how it will impact them, but like it's more like, oh my God, they will not like it, or they will not want that I have my own personal realizations kind of thing. So I think that you got stuck, and you can go ahead and take your own ventures in your own goals. And I think it's really I don't know how to prejudice in English, but it's kind of stop your way to get relations with others. Relationship with others. You can do it so easily as other people do.
That's true. Just like the video mentioned, right? When you grow up, it harms your relation with other people, with friends, in like romantic relations. That's true. It affects every kind of relation that you have. It's really true. And you, Jonas, what do you think? How might growing up in a toxic family environment shape a person's beliefs and behaviors?
Like I point in the first is really, we have a real broad way of react to different things. So toxic family, let's say the question has beliefs. So religious families, that's really, really, really religious. It can make children goes to the path to don't like that and never see religion see as a bad thing, or make someone really like the religion path. So even if it's toxic, it was impregnated in that child to believe in that, or to you need to do that. So you have a really broad reaction to the same situation.
That's true. It depends on the kid, right? Each kid reacts in a certain way. But this thing of religion that you mentioned is really true. Now we see a lot of like parents who raise their kids in a certain religion. They are too religious, and then the kid grow up and they don't want to look for it. And I'm not saying that it's like everybody needs to look for a religion, but I think faith is important. To have faith in something, né? Ter uma fé em alguma coisa eu acho que é importante. Have spiritual health, né? Ter uma saúde espiritual, não necessariamente em uma religião, né? But to believe in something. And then they don't want nothing because they grew up in this environment. So why, né? Para que vai procurar isso? That's true. And you, Nathanael, what do you think? How might growing up in a toxic family environment shape a person's beliefs and behaviors?
It affects the relationship in general, I think. I think the person becomes very introverted. Many dreams and many expectations of life are removing in your life. The person not have more confidence to learn new things, for example. As said the previous questions, the person has very insecurity about making mistakes and making activities normal day to day. It's the very dangerous the toxic environment.
That's true. That's true. It's really dangerous because like it affects the entire life, not only the childhood or adolescence, né? It affects every part of your life. So it's really dangerous. That's true. Affects relationships, and people need to have relations with friends, romantic relations, and it affects the entire life. And you, Márcio, how might growing up in a toxic family environment shape a person's beliefs and behaviors?
It's very difficult for a children grow up in a toxic environment. A children can lose part of his children root and try to solve a problem he didn't cause. And I like it's a forced maturation. That's it, I believe, that happens with the children. And now this sadly, it affects your life, our from home.
That's true. They need to grow up faster, right? They need to be more mature. That's true. And it's complicated because they shouldn't, né? They need to enjoy their childhood. They don't need to be adults when they are kids. It's true. So let's go to question number 3. What strategies can individuals employ to protect their mental and emotional health when dealing with toxic family members? So what can they do to protect their health when they have this toxic environment, né? O que eles podem fazer para cuidar da saúde mental e emocional quando está num ambiente como esse? So, let's start with you, Jonas. What do you think?
There's to start to protect yourself. First, you need to have a certain age. So, if it's if it is young enough, I think it's the society that has to take care of that toxicity. But if you are old enough, you can get out a little bit of your family. But the problem with that is normally the person has rancor against the family or something like that. To be really healthy mentally, you need to just take aside that attack the toxicity, and don't think about that really much. Even if you are take against side, you are already taking a side. You need to swinkle yourself from the family to be better.
That's true.
This is if you cannot make amends, but of course you will have a side also to take amends with your family, try to be better as a family. But if it's a point that there is no way back, so the only way is to be a part of the family.
Mm-hmm. That's totally true. In extreme cases, we see a lot of people that don't have contact anymore with the family, right? Because they lived in that context, on that context of toxicity, and they just like don't live anymore with the family. They go away, and which is bad, right? Because it's your family, so it's nice to be close to them. But if it's bad for you, you need to be far, and it's sad, but it happens.
Even if you are away of your family, if you are think about everything that happened, it's still affecting you.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's the point. If you really want to be away of your family, you need to think about that as not think about the bad things that happen.
Mm-hmm. That's true. You need to get over it, né? Tem que superar.
Yes. That's the difficult part.
Yeah, that's true. It's a difficult process. And you, Nathaniel, what do you think? What strategies can they do to protect their mental health, emotional health when they have this environment?
I think the first thing and the most important thing is to recognize that the person is in toxic environment. It's very important. It's very important to the person to recognize that need help and need support. For example, to try always possible to live with people who are not toxic. You know, it's the great decision. Another thing is about to seek help professionally. For example, psychologists. It's important.
That's true. It's a part of the process of getting over, right? You need to, for you to stop thinking about it, you need to talk to someone about it, né? Mostly a psychologist, a therapist. That's totally true. Because it's your family and like you're too close to them. And how would you get over a problem with someone that you are so close to, right? I totally agree with you. You need to seek help with like a therapist, psychologist. That's true. I totally agree. And you, Márcio, what do you think? What strategies can they do to
Yeah,
protect?
I agree with you. That's it. Seek help, talk to someone, school or any other support. I remember that in the past I have a number. I don't know. I believe that the number there is nowadays, the CVV, but today you can ask for the information, the internet, maybe that can you find something that can help you.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Google helps us a lot, right? So you just search, what can I do to solve this problem? Ask ChatGPT, ask anywhere, what can I do? Then they will help you, right? That's true. Perfect. And you, Beatriz, what do you think? What strategies can they do to protect their mental and emotional health?
Well, I think that the first step, if possible, of course, is get away. Just uh, get away. Not definitely in some cases, but in others, yes. Just to reorganize your mind and your feelings and how do you feel about some questions, because it isn't easy. You deal with relatives, parents, no matter what is it. Um, so close. I know that sometimes it isn't possible, like when you are a children or a teenager, but if you are an adult, I think that is the best solution. Because you need to understand that if your family is just toxic or narcissistic, and I think that is a really important thing that you need to learn the difference, because toxicity maybe you can deal and solve it, but narcissistic relatives aren't the way they are. I think the psychology, I don't know, psychology says that they can be changed, they will be this way forever. So I think that is really important, understand it for at first, and then get some therapy, and be surrounded by people that you like and that like you, because it do a really estrago, sorry, I don't know how to say it, in your life, and you think that you are incapable to be loved. And I think that's really really bad, because when you think that you shouldn't be loved, you start to do decisions to get yourself to isolate yourself, and don't trusting other people, thinking that everyone will be like your family have been all this time, and this kind of thing.
That's true. I live in a universitarian city, and I see a lot of cases like this here, because people usually like leave their houses to come here to study. And then there are a lot of people here who says, I left my house because I didn't like to live with my parents because of this and that. Each person has their own situation, right? And I think it's so sad because they really leave that situation and needed to be a part of their family, be far from their family. And of course, I understand why they did that, but it's still, I think it's sad because those are people who needed to love you the most, and it's hard for you to be away from people who you should love, right? It's
Yes,
complicated.
yes, I agree with you. And I think that some cases are more sad than others, because, for example, when your family is overprotective, they love you and they want your best, but they are really protective, and they kind of just suffocate you, and you can, oh my God, I can do my my own decisions. It's not because they are toxic, but because they are overprotective, and you feel that you don't want to disappoint them, because they are so good for you, and they love you so much. And I think that is kind of situation really happening in vegetarian cities. I live it in one too, and I know that this kind of situation happens a lot.
That's true. So let's go to question number 4. How do societal and cultural factors contribute to the prevalence of toxic family dynamics? Like, because if toxic families, they exist, but not because like, they exist, it's a coincidence. No, they exist because we have a society, a culture. That's why it happens. It's so common to see that. So how do societal and cultural factors contribute to the prevalence of toxic family dynamics? Nathanael, how do you think?
Well, I really believe that bad habits that contribute to have a toxic environment. For example, people are frequenting connecting in the social medias, for example, and that there is little interaction, no or no interaction. People don't meet less face to face, for example. Another point is the rise of fast food. For example, people don't sit down in the table to talk and to talk another people's, and that's very dangerous for the convivence. It's very complicated.
That's true, because families, they are becoming like separate, right? Each one does their thing and that's it. You live your life. But what about being together, which is so cool, right? When you have a healthy environment, it's so cool to be together, right? People should like do that more often. And you, Matt, what do you think? How do societal and cultural factors contribute to this?
I believe the society putting in your mind that the life is an eternal competition, and you have to be a winner, and everything that you do is not true. That and the stranger that some family put this competition enter the family and compare the children. For example, for me, it's strange this. Oh, my son number one is better than son number two. It's very strange for me. Yeah, I think that's it. It's very strange this when this happened in the family, for example.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that when I was a kid, my mom used to do that, but then when she realized that she has done that, she apologized because like she didn't want, but it was involuntary. She just said like, for example, I got a bad grade in like history in school, but then my sister got a good grade, and then she said, why did your sister get a good grade and you didn't? And then I said, I don't know, and then yeah, she's a different person, sorry. And then she apologized because it's sometimes it's involuntary, né? Às vezes é involuntário, a pessoa só fala por que que um foi melhor que o outro, né? E aí os pais fazem isso. It's normal, but it's not good, né? Não é
It's
bom.
not good because I think it's very dangerous because the brothers they don't like another brother sometimes.
Yeah, maybe they get angry at each other. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. It's complicated. But this happens a lot, mostly when they are kids, when kids are younger. It happens a lot. Acontece muito. But it's normal. I grew up with that. Now I am okay. But when I was a child, I hated. Eu odiava isso, se eu comparar com a minha irmã. And she hated too. But nowadays, we all love each other. It's fine.
Okay.
And you, Beatriz, how do you think societal and cultural factors contribute to this?
Well, I think that here in Latam, we have this culture of think that just because we are relatives, we have the right to say what other people can think, can do, can feel, and they want to know everything, and they don't respect this kind of privacy. I don't know how to pronounce it. And I think that it's really bad because some people love overshare their lives, but others are more, introspective. They want to get their own things just for the one or for one or other person. And people is like, oh my God, haven't you dated? oh my God, how's going your university? How are you doing? You need to get a boyfriend. You need to get a better job. You need to get married. And this kind of thing is really uncomfortable because they don't know what's happening, what's going on in your life, but they think they are in the right to question and to give suggestions about what you need to do. And sometimes it isn't just suggestions, but an imposition, you know. And I'm not saying just it just happened here in Latin. I know that some countries in Asia are in the same way, but I think that is really in the same proportion that is get together is really good because we support each other. Is bad too because people don't have the right to say what you need to do or how you need to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that it's really bad. And I think that, you know, the right, not just Latam, but that parents always know what is the best for they children, and isn't like always it always happen because they have their own um, beliefs, and they have been created in a really different society because things are changing really fast now with technology and the way that we get employees, jobs, sorry. And for example, I think that 20 years, 25 years ago, you could get married and buy a house. And I think that sometimes nowadays it isn't, you know, easier as it used to be. And they don't understand it. And they just like, why you can afford a house, or what are you doing with your salary? And they don't understand that it's really hard now than it was before. I don't know that I kind of mudei the subject, sorry, but it's just like to
But that's
simplify
true.
what I'm trying to say.
But I could get your point. It happens a lot like during Christmas time, right? The family gets together.
Yes,
Then everybody say their opinions about everybody's life, né? Durante o Natal, ceia de Natal. Todo mundo dá a opinião da vida dos outros, né? It's like that. But
yes,
with families is even worse, but I guess people do that with everyone. Pessoas fazem isso com todo mundo. Você quer dar pitaco na vida de todo mundo. Aí,
yes,
but with families is even worse because they are close to you, né? Eles são próximos de você. Então, that's terrible. And I know the feeling, because everybody, my family, I only have like old people in my family. So tem gente mais velha na minha família, sabe? E aí todo mundo quer dar pitaco. But this is part of it. É que todo mundo já viveu,
yes,
né? Tá todo mundo aposentado. E aí todo mundo quer dar pitaco. But that's a part of life. I don't care anymore about it. But a lot of people do care, né? Tem muita gente que liga porque eles falam. Então, it's complicated because you need to know what is good for me and what do I want to do and what is not relevant for me, né? O que não é tão relevante assim para minha vida. You need
yes,
to filter that, né? As pessoas têm que saber filtrar isso.
yes, sure.
But it happens a lot and it's really common. And Jonas, how do you think societal and cultural factors contribute to this? Jonas, you're muted again. Don't worry, it happens all the time. You're here with someone that do this all the time. Márcio, every time, every day he does that. So don't worry about it. You can start. Sorry.
Yes, one thing that I think about the papel of the society and the family and the toxic relationship is the legitimacy that brings. So if you have a harsh punishment in your family and everyone around you says that's okay, you keep it doing. So there's no problem. That's not toxic. You don't see that as a toxic thing because everyone does the same thing. So this brings legitimacy to the toxic family, and they even don't see that as a toxic thing.
That's true. If everybody does, why can't I do, right? That's the thinking that it's not healthy, but people think like that, right? That's true. And just like Beatriz said, we keep thinking it's normal because everybody does, so it's normal, right? It's not. So let's go to question number 5. Are there any common signs or red flags that indicate a family might have a toxic dynamics? Like something that you can see as a sign. You see that and say, this is weird. For example, when I was in school, I remember I had a friend that she was a little bit weird, and like her parents, they didn't let her use leggings, the pants leggings, so she couldn't use. And then she couldn't do a lot of things, like she couldn't date, she couldn't like go out with the friends. And then later we realized that her father was completely toxic. Like the guy didn't let her mother and her do nothing. Não podia sair de casa, não podia namorar, não podia usar a calça desse jeito, não podia usar a blusa desse jeito. It was terrible. And then she never talked about it. And then we people discover it, asking her things because we noticed that. And then in the end, it was a craziness. No final, foi uma loucura para resolver esse problema dela, tadinha. But everything was fine in the end. And then it was a sign. So let's see if you know some signs, né? Let's start with you, Márcio. Are there any common signs or red flags that indicate a family might have toxic dynamics?
I don't know that's the sign, this common sign, but I think an example that how that you told about his friend. I think that you see a children that they react with a violence. Sometimes you don't know what the children do. That this something happened, and one moment that's it. You can see in the children the reflection what happened.
Their behavior, right? They act different.
Yeah.
That's true. And you, Jonas, what do you think? Are there any common signs or red flags that indicate this?
There's a lot of flags. You need to weight every one of that. I think it was one of the main points of the videos, showing a lot of situations that if you are living that in that family, you don't have an outside perspective, so you may think that as a normal thing, but the video shows as a toxic thing. So there is a lot of flags you can show, but you need to weight every one of that flags and to see if it is just really a bad toxic environment. I think every family has a little bit of toxicity. It's difficult, even if you brought the family to take ankles and everyone in your family, not just your parents. So you always have someone that's not I don't want to say normal.
Regular, maybe. Regular.
Yeah, but so every family may have a little bit of toxicity. You cannot be perfect, and so, but you need to weight every flag and really try to see that as a outside perspective. You don't see when you are in.
Yeah, that's true. You need to look at the whole picture. And so we have this expression in English that I really like. You need to look from the outside, like see, this situation, is it like common? Is it like something that it's healthy? Because just like you said, every family has problems, né? Toda família tem problema, é normal. But we need to know how to deal with it, né? Como lidar com isso, how to solve that problem, and how to not affect others with that problem, right? That's true. And you, Nathanael, what do you think? Are there any common signs or red flags that indicate a family may have toxic dynamics?
I think there are several aspects. For example, the person has a behavior very nervous, you know. Little things make a person very nervous. The person is very introverted, and every moment always avoids social interaction. Another point, people complain about everything and everywhere, everyone.
Fama, né? A gente vê isso muito.
The person has a frequent complaint behavior. It's very complicated.
That's true. When they have some weird behavior, né? Something that it's outside of the usual, uma coisa que é fora do comum, né? Você vê que tem alguma coisa.
Yes.
Probably the family, probably himself, herself. We don't know, but there's a problem, né? Mas tem problema ali.
Yes.
And you, Beatriz, are there any common signs or red flags that indicate a family may have toxic dynamics?
Well, I believe there are tons of signs that we can think there are red flags, but I think that the most significant, in my opinion, is like when you aren't able to set boundaries. For example, I don't like people just come in my room without permission. And for example, when I was a teenager, my mom used it to open my door and without knock, and I was like really uncomfortable. And it's not because I'm doing a thing that, for example, I broken something. It's just like because it startled me. I don't like the sensation of being regulated. I don't know if this is word exists in English, but regulated. I don't like to feel that people are observing me to see what I'm doing of right or not. And I had this sensation. I don't know if it's just my perception. And you can just talk about your mistakes. For example, I made a mistake. I broke a cup of glass, and I would rather liar than tell the truth. I think it's a really huge red flag, because when you can communicate and be open with your own parents or relatives, how supposed would be with others? No, and I think that's a huge red flag. And the others usual, for example, when you can't be able, for example, they set boundaries and scream at you, yell at you, and this kind of thing. But for me, it's really hard understand this little broke off. I don't know how to say it, but broke off boundaries, because they are small, and if you don't pay attention, you can relacionar. And it's a toxic behavior that if it's a health family, you can sit down and just talk about it. But if it's a toxic family, they will just air it again, is what you're saying, and invalidating your feelings.
That's true. Yeah, it's important to be in an environment that you're able to talk and explain your point of view, right? Because as we can see, a lot of families, they don't care about the kids' opinion, because they're kids, but maybe they have good opinions, and maybe they need to be listened sometimes, right? And I've seen a video on Instagram these days, and I really like it. It was, I guess all of you know him, Pedro Bial. He was interviewing a couple and a kid, and it was a famous couple, but I don't know them. And they had a kid. And then the kid entered the interview, like she was playing, and then she entered the interview because it was online, so they were at home. And then Pedro Bial asked the kid, they were talking about Frozen, and then he asked the kid, do you want to sing the Frozen song? And then the kid said, no, I don't want. It was not like she was angry, ela não tava de birra, sabe? Ela só falou, no, I don't want. And then the mother asked, do you want to sing? And then he said, no, I don't want, like normally, like in a calm way, because kids usually when they say no, as crianças ficam bem nervosas, né, quando falam não. E aí a criança falou, não,
Yes.
it was her option. Like, I know she's like 4 years old, but she have wantings, né? Ela tem querer e não querer. Of course, they have obligations, né? Obviamente tem obrigações e deveres. But if you don't want to do something, you're not forced to do. And I think this is a healthy environment to live when you have options, né? Quando você tem opções, né? I think it's really important to mention that. And it was not common in the past, né? Não era muito comum no passado a gente ver isso. Criança tinha que obedecer o pai e a mãe em todos os quesitos. And they have opinions too. It's nice to hear children. And I like to talk about them because, as I told you, I am an English teacher and I teach kids. So I really like them.
Yes, I
Guys.
think that is. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm just saying because we have this culture that we don't care about the children's feelings, and we don't want to listen to them. We think that they need to do what we think that are best for them. And when we are doing it, we are creating future adults that that don't have autonomy to decide what they want or not, because they are used to accustomed to do what their parents want, not what they want. And yeah, it's a really bad thing. And I would like to, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, don't worry. It's a normal conversation. You can talk, you can say whatever you want.